Christmas in Space. In this week's podcast, we look back at how the holidays have been celebrated in orbit.
I'm dreaming of a flight at Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Payload, rocketing around the Christmas tree. I need to work on my pun game. But back to the podcast. As always, we'll also update you on all the big stories of this week.
We always love hearing from you, so please come and find us on social media. You can follow us at Space and Things 1 on Twitter, or get involved at Space and Things Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
But however you're celebrating the holidays, thanks for continuing to tune in, and we hope you enjoy episode 17 of the Space and Things Podcast.
You're listening to the Space and Things Podcast with Emily Carney and Dave Giles.
I'm Emily Carney.
And I'm Dave Giles, and welcome to episode 17 of our podcast, and a very Merry Christmas to you all. As we record this is the Tuesday before Christmas, but it goes out on Christmas Eve. So we hope you're enjoying the holiday season. How are you doing, Emily?
I'm doing great. It's all good. I have a short week here, so tomorrow's my last day at work before the holiday season,
Nice.
So that'll be a lot of fun, hopefully. So I'm looking forward to it.
Have you got a bit of a break? Have you got a nice break over Christmas?
Yeah, I got about 4 days off, and
Nice.
This sounds horrible. I'm really looking forward to napping. Yeah, I'm looking forward to just taking a nap or something. That sounds terrible, but all I really want this year is just a long nap. So, yeah.
All I want for Christmas is a nap.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, that would hit the top of the charts for sure if we recorded that. I think everyone would relate.
Yeah, especially in 2021 with the news cycle. I don't know if people have been getting their naps. So yeah, just a free nap would be nice.
Exactly. So before we started this podcast, we briefly had a little bit of fun where we were trying to pronounce various words that were given to us from our Patreons in order to decide who was going to get the Tim Peake book. And Lauren won the book because she asked us to say Konstantin Tsiolkovsky.
Tchaikovsky.
And it was a difficult one. We both said it very differently. But we had a lot of fun with that. If you're on our Patreon page, I will put up the video of us going through all the different things. It's quite amusing. So that's over on patreon.com/space and things. Go and check that out. But congratulations, Lauren. But
Yes. Congrats, Lauren.
probably should just get on with the show, shouldn't we?
Yep. Let's get on.
Let's do it.
As we approach the holiday season, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and all the best for a Happy New Year.
Okay, so it's not been quite as crazy this week, but there's still some points of interest. Astra, the company launching from Alaska, who we mentioned earlier in an earlier podcast, nearly put a rocket in orbit. It got high enough, but not quite fast enough. So it looks like they're nearly there. We also had launches from the India Space Research Organization, Arianespace in Russia, which was actually delivering some satellites for the UK, a UK company called OneWeb, SpaceX, and the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. As I said last week, I'll be putting all the details of those launches in our show notes. So if you'd like to watch those launches or find out more about their payloads, all the information is right there for you. And of that list, I do think it's worth pointing out that it was the 26th launch for SpaceX this calendar year. It's also their final launch of the year. And on a side note from that, there have been 31 major launches from the Space Coast in Florida, and 25 of them were SpaceX launches. So they've really dominated the launch calendar this year.
Oh yeah, they've gotten about two. I mean, if you break it down in terms of numbers, that's about roughly 2.5 launches a month. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it's really incredible stuff what they're
Once
doing.
every 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how much they said shuttle was going to go.
I believe the record for launches from the Space Coast is 33, which was 1966. So they nearly got there. Well, collectively, the different companies nearly got there. I think now it's going to get smashed in the next couple of years. There's so many companies now doing things that I think we're going to be there soon.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. In other news, I'm
Amazing.
so sorry. In other
And we had a little warm-up before today's episode to get our tongues going.
I'm never working for the BBC.
Either am I.
In other news, the Chang'e mission successfully landed a capsule which contained a sample of lunar materials in Mongolia last Wednesday. We've covered quite a lot in the podcast already about this, but it really is a wonderful achievement, and it's the first time we've had new moon samples in 44 years, and China are now the third company behind the Soviet Union and the United States to have succeeded in doing this.
And if you've been looking up this past week, you may have noticed that Saturn and Jupiter were getting very close in the sky, which culminated in the Great Conjunction on December the 21st. It's the first time they've been this close in the night sky for about 800 years. So, of course, it was cloudy in London that night, and but it wouldn't be 2020 without that happening. But they were pretty close on Sunday night as well, and I did get to see that. It was quite impressive. Did you have a view of this in down in Florida?
We did. I'm embarrassed to say I missed it because from what I understand, it was quite brief, and we're kind of not positioned in the same, we're not positioned in a really good area. You guys have a better view than we do. I think Europe got a better view than we did this time. Okay. So unfortunately, I was not able to see it, but I did see it vicariously through my friends and, everybody overseas who got to image it and people who got to image it in other parts of the United States. So
yeah, there were some great photos go up of that this week.
Finally, Lockheed Martin has purchased Aerojet Rocketdyne for $4.4 billion. This move, I'll talk a little bit about it.
Okay.
This move is basically because Aerojet Rocketdyne has rocket engines. They specialize in a lot of things, but they mainly work in spacecraft propulsion and rocket engines. And they work with a variety of contractors. I believe they work with ULA and they work with, NASA and Lockheed. And they work with a bunch of people. NASA's not a contractor. They're an agency, but they work with a bunch of contractors. And it's been speculated, and I think this move was basically to make Lockheed more competitive with SpaceX.
Right.
And Blue Origin, because if you'll notice, SpaceX and Blue Origin does everything in-house. They don't contract anything out. All their equipment is their equipment and stuff, whereas a lot of other companies tend to contract services out. We talked about this last week. I don't want to create like a rivalry between SpaceX and other contractors.
Yeah.
Because every contractor sort of offers something a little different. Like, Lockheed has a lot of different things under it. Northrop Grumman, I think, acquired Orbital ATK a few years ago, and Orbital ATK worked a lot with like propulsion and things like that. So they acquired that. Like a lot of these companies kind of specialize in slightly different areas. So I don't want to make it super competitive, but I don't think anybody expected SpaceX to be as successful and to be as prolific as they have been.
Right.
Like I really think that was a big motivator in them absorbing or buying Aerojet. So yeah, that's something to think about. I think a lot of these contractors are like, okay, we need to sort of, we need to be more prolific and stuff. But I don't think anybody expected these companies that do everything in-house to be this good.
Yeah.
So I really think this is sort of an effort. Okay, we got to stay competitive with these guys.
Although this is a different kind of competitiveness than what we talked about last week. This is business competitiveness, which is almost essential within an industry when you're trying to achieve things. And it's only going to help push everyone further forward if all the different companies are trying to be as effective as possible with what they're doing. And we've already seen that the companies are, at least publicly, patting each other on the back when people are achieving different things. So I don't see this as being different, being the same as what we talked about last week.
I think it's more financial competitiveness. I can't say any words today. Damn, that the warm up messed me up for the rest of the day. Anyway, I think it's not as much, because I know some people will try to spin it as, oh, they're trying to compete with SpaceX and we're better. They're going to try to make it a rivalry thing. I don't think it's that as much as financial.
Yeah.
As much, okay, they're doing a lot right now and they can do it in-house, so we need to kind of step up our game.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the news this week. As I said earlier, everything will be in the show notes. So if there's anything you want to learn a little bit more about, just go and have a look, and I will share some articles and some videos for you.
Hey, Hank, there really is a Santa Claus. Hey, did you find him? Yeah, that rascal left us some goodies. How about that? All gaily wrapped, Christmas paper and ribbon and the whole bit.
So it's Christmas time, and we thought we'd discuss some stories of Christmas in space. And it all started 52 years ago with Apollo 8. Now, I'm sure most people listening know what Apollo 8 was. It was the first mission that took humans away from the Earth and towards another celestial body. And I really like the fact that this happened at Christmas time. I think it adds a whole other element. There's so much great stuff about this mission anyway. It's one of my favorite missions. Great crew, the boldness of it, the fact it was the first launch of the Saturn V with people on it. There's so many things about it. But the fact it was at Christmas and that broadcast they did on Christmas Eve. I mean, it's still the most watched TV show ever, or one of the top ones, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was very moving. Probably one of the most moving and emotional things that I was not alive back then, so I wish I could have seen that happen live, but I have enjoyed it on YouTube a lot of times.
Yeah.
At the time, I wouldn't say it was controversial, but not everybody was happy about it because, of course, they read from the Book of Genesis, and some people they interpreted. Ah, God! Sorry, I ruined Christmas. They interpreted it as religious, which I don't know. I just thought it was very moving because they were reciting that and you're looking at the moon for the first time from humans. I was just like, this is incredible, and just juxtaposed with, the images from that mission of like Earthrise and stuff like that. I mean, it's just what a special time. So yeah, I wish I'd been around to see that one.
Yeah, me too. To me, I always see it as almost a piece of performance art, whether you're religious or not, or Christian or not. Just those images with those words really works. It doesn't have to be something that you believe to be factually true to appreciate how the two connect really well.
Yeah.
And even the most stoic of men in Mission Control ended up getting quite emotional listening to it. So I think it did really work, and it's almost quite romantic as well. Who knew that these three guys could be so romantic?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was kind of, it was very, I think it did have a sort of a feeling of romance about it. And also, 1968 was a terrible year in the United States. I mean, it was bad. I would say it was nearly on the same level as 2020. I mean, it was pretty rough. And I think it was kind of a time where a lot of people didn't feel like they had a lot to be, grateful for, I guess, and even though it was Christmas and, that's typically a really sentimental holiday, I think at the time, a lot of people were just like, there'd been so much that had happened this year. People were overwhelmed, and they just didn't feel like it, sort of like this year, a lot of people I've seen on social media are like, I just don't feel like doing this,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of posts like that too. But moving on, it actually wasn't that long in the grand scheme of things before the next Christmas happened in space. And of course, it wouldn't be this podcast if we didn't mention Skylab. Of course, the final Skylab mission, Skylab 4, got to spend the whole of Christmas and the holiday season in orbit. And of course, what was nice about that was in Skylab, there was a load of space. So they were able to spruce the place up a little bit and add a little bit of festivity to their spacecraft and the orbital workshop. But there's been a wonderful piece of art which has appeared on the Space Hipsters website group this week. Have you seen that, where they've put Christmas lights on Skylab?
Yeah!
That was amazing.
Yeah, as if they'd, taken an EVA and gone outside and hung up some Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Skylab 4 actually had a fairly festive Christmas. They had a tree that was made of food cans
Yeah.
that they made. The tree was topped with I think they made like a cutout of Kohoutek, the comet, because they were going to observe it that day, which was really cool. I think is really special. They also had stockings. They were socks, but they had stockings with their initials on it and stuff like that. And they actually got to they did I want to say like a Christmas message that day, and actually sent messages home to their their families and stuff. And I think it was really sweet and special, and it gets forgotten sort of in the, in space history, but I love the tree that they have. I need to put it up on my Facebook, or we need to put up a picture of it maybe, because it's very inventive. The food can tree with the Kohoutek on top. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I think we'll use that as the thumbnail for the show. If you've seen the thumbnail for the show, it's the Christmas tree from Skylab
with the Christmas comet too.
Yeah, with the Christmas comet, not one of Santa's reindeers. They also got some presents up there. They had some family gifts which were snuck on board. I think that was a bit of a surprise for them, which is nice. But they also did an EVA on Christmas Day. That's a nice little rhyme there. To observe the Christmas comet.
Yeah, that during that period from December 25th through 28th, 29th, they did a lot of work observing Kohoutek. On the day that they have been accused of committing a mutiny, that actually didn't happen. I think the day has been tossed around on the internet as December 29th. I think that's the day, from my recollection. On the day that they supposedly had a mutiny, which they didn't, they actually talked to Luboš Kohoutek on the ground, the guy who discovered the comet.
Yeah, they got him to mission control, right?
Yeah, he was in mission control, and he was actually talking to, Ed and all them to discuss their observations, because I do think they imaged it, but they also took some sketches of it. Like there's I have them somewhere in my notes, some freehand sketches that Ed did.
Right.
Dr. Ed Gibson did of the comet. So they did. They definitely got a better view of the comet than people did on Earth.
Yeah.
Because at the time it was kind of like, I hate to say it, it was sort of overhyped on Earth. Like, yeah, it's the comet of the decade, and stuff like that. And I don't think a lot of people really got a good view of it, unfortunately. But Skylab did, so that kind of makes up for it. It was kind of like the conjunction here, because everybody was like, yeah, the conjunction. I'm like, we saw it for like 2 seconds here.
Yeah.
We didn't, or not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, well, I looked at, the pictures are pretty. So
yeah, absolutely.
Roger, Hank. Tell my wife I'm delighted with my present, and you're authorized to give her one hug.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
No more, just one.
So, moving on. It was actually then quite a while before we had the holiday season in space. And now, when the space station Mir was up and about, there was a few different Christmases in space, but it's all a little bit confusing because Russian Orthodox Church celebrate Christmas according to the Julian calendar rather than the Gregorian calendar, which means that they often celebrate it on the 6th, the 7th, or 19th of January. I am no religious expert, but that's what I am led to believe. And so therefore there were a few different times when the holiday season did happen on Mir, and one of which was in 1997 when there was an American on board, and that's why we say that Christmas was celebrated on Mir in 1997 when David Worf was on board along with Anatoly
Solovyov, I think.
Yep, and Pavel Vinogradov. Yeah. So, oh my god. Anyway, that was a thing, and they actually received a bunch of goodies for Christmas Day on Christmas Eve from Progress M37 supply ship, which is quite nice. And there's some photos of the three of them having Christmas on Mir. 2 years after that Christmas on Mir in 1999, before the ISS was up and operational, we had STS-103. which was Christmas 99, which was servicing the Hubble Space Telescope on the Space Shuttle Discovery. And that was commanded by Curtis Brown, also had Scott Kelly and John Grunself, Jean-Francis Clairvoy, Michael Foale, Stephen Smith, and Claude Nicollier. And of course, Smith and Grunsfield performed the third and final EVA of that mission. There was 3 on Christmas Eve. So I like to call that the Christmas EVA.
Oh,
you're welcome for that. So I'm trying to work on my pun game. That one, I'm quite happy with that one. But also, they released Hubble back from the shuttle on Christmas Day. So it's like releasing a giant Christmas tree into the sky.
Yeah,
I quite like that image. Which brings us up to the International Space Station, where obviously there has been a Christmas every year, a holiday season every year for the last 20 years since the year 2000, right?
Yes, it has been occupied continuously since the year 2000. And the first crew to spend Christmas aboard the ISS was Expedition 1. They arrived aboard the space station from Soyuz TM-31 on November 2nd, 2000. And there were 3 astronauts aboard that one. It's William Shepard, American astronaut, Sergei Krikalav, and also Yuri Jidzenko. So the latter 2 are cosmonauts. So, and they were the first people to spend Christmas aboard. So, from what I understand, they took breaks on Christmas Eve and Christmas. This was actually Krikalov's 3rd Christmas in orbit, because as a Soviet and a Russian, he was the last Soviet. He spent Christmas 1988 aboard the Mir space station,
right,
and 1991 also aboard Mir. So that was the time where he made. I think I've discussed this on previous episodes, but he spent like 10 months in space from 1991 to 1992. During that time, the Soviet Union collapsed, so he came to Earth with the wrong nationality patch on, because he was no longer Soviet, he was Russian. He used to be, he's not anymore, but he used to be the record holder for most time in space, like ever.
Yeah.
Something like over 900 days. Nuts.
Nearly 3 years. Crazy.
Yeah, and he was very young when he started going to space. He was like 30, I think, 29 or 30. He was a young dude, so he spent a lot of time up there. From what I understood, they took a break on Christmas Eve and didn't work much on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And they, on the ship's log, which I don't know if they still keep it, but in the Navy, you have a ship's log. We used to have green books, and we kept logs in them. So on the ship's log, they saluted the new year with a poem. And I don't know if you want me to read the whole poem.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, and this, I want to say this, this is information I'm reading here is derived from a blog by Andrew LePage. We'll put the link in the show notes. And
Absolutely.
It's called Christmas 2000 in Space, basically. And we sail on board Space Station Alpha. That was its call sign.
Wow.
Orbiting high above Earth, still in night. Traveling our destined journey beyond realm of sea voyage or flight. Our first New Year's upon us. 8 strikes on the bell. Now as one. The globe spins on its motion, counting the last 1,000 years done. 15 midnights to this Earth in orbit. A clockwork not of earthly pace. Our day with different meaning now. In this, a new age in place. We move with a speed in time, past that which human hands can tell. Computers programmed like boxes, where only thoughts shadows dwell. Central post our ship's bridge aboard. Screens dancing shapes in pale glow. We guide her course by electronic pulse in figures no compass could show. Our panels set sail to the sun, with wake not ever seen but there. Our gyros feel the silent tugs, whist whirls of ocean rare. On this ship's deck sits no helm now, rudder, sheet, and rig long since gone, but here's still a pull to go places beyond lines where sky meets the dawn. Though star trackers mark Altair and Vega, Same as mariners eyed long ago, we are still wayfinders of knowledge, seeking new things that mankind shall know. We commend a cruise that will follow, merit of the good ship we sail, let sun shine strong on Alpha's wings, assemble, and bright star we long hail. That's really, wow, that's really moving.
Yeah.
That's really
That's
moving.
fantastic.
That's very awesome. Yeah, because I think their call sign was Alpha, and I think the ISS was originally supposed to be called Space Station Alpha.
I had no idea of that.
Yeah, well, it was called the... in the 80s, it was called, what became the ISS, it was called Space Station Freedom in the United States. You could probably guess why it was called that. It was under the Reagan era. So, but Freedom, I believe, was canceled, and it turned into the International Space Station program.
But obviously, there have been people on there every Christmas now for 20 years, and they normally do something. They normally have a photo op or something like that, and there's been various decorations go up inside. There was another Christmas EVA in 2013 by Mike Hopkins and Rick Mastraccio. I'm guessing I'm saying his surname incorrectly as well. Can you help me on that one?
I think you were
Rick
right. Mastraccio. I think you're correct.
Okay, good. But no, they did not put up any decorations on the outside of the ISS, although I think that's got to be something they try and do one year.
Before they leave.
I know EVAs are... Yeah, I know EVAs are dangerous and they shouldn't be taken for granted, but just put a few fairy lights up on outside the ISS, will you? Come on.
Yeah, spray paint the outside a little bit. Just
Exactly. Just get some of that fake snow and just spray it on one of the solar panels. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, boy. That'd be fun.
But no, in 2013, it wasn't to do that. It was to replace a faulty pump, which... was to help the cool equipment inside one of the space laboratories, which had been faulty. So, and they did get that done. So, yeah, Christmas EVA. I think that should be an annual thing anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's asking for it, isn't it? A Christmas EVA.
Yeah, like a tradition.
Sorry, I'm going to reuse that pun again and again and again. I'm really proud of that.
I do want to mention, for us Jewish folks who may not celebrate Christmas but do celebrate Hanukkah, there has been, as far as I know, one Hanukkah in space. I'm sure people on the ISS, there have been several Jewish astronauts. I'm sure there have been people on the ISS observing it. But one incident I can think of where they've celebrated Hanukkah in space was on STS-61, which was the first Hubble telescope servicing mission in 1993. That's the one where Story Musgrave and a bunch of them did those. I think they did 5 spacewalks or something nuts.
And saved the day.
Basically saved Hubble, so we wouldn't be the butt of jokes anymore. But during this flight, mission specialist Jeff Hoffman spun a dreidel in space. So,
very nice.
Yes. So I did want to give a shout out to us Jewish folks and who may be listening to the show that has also been celebrated in space as well. So, I just wanted to mention that real quick.
No, absolutely, and it's my understanding that because the Russians celebrate it in January, they do have essentially multiple celebrations for Christmas in space, and I guess also for Hanukkah and other religious events as well. So it's weird though, because obviously Christmas has become so secular as a holiday in many ways that you sometimes forget that it does have a religious connotation.
Absolutely.
In America, you have this happy holidays thing, which we don't really use over here that much. We just say Happy Christmas to everyone, regardless. It's a... Oh,
okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a bit naughty over here for that reason. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I say, oh, you're celebrating Christmas, when actually I've tried to say holidays where possible today, but probably haven't done it that well.
I was not offended.
But yeah, hopefully it's given you a little bit of an idea of what life is like, or the times when the holidays have been celebrated in orbit. But yeah, it's been for 20 years now they've been doing it. I like it when there's a photo of Chris Hadfield up playing guitar. It must have been so fun when he was on the International Space Station. That must have been a great time.
Yeah.
Or you hated it. Like, it's going to go one way or the other with that kind of thing, isn't it?
I've seen some people criticize him, for and I'm like, what? He was having a good time. He was doing his job.
Yeah.
Just leave him alone. I think it's the same people who think, Apollo is better than everything else. Like, oh, well, the ISS sucks. Apollo is better than everything. And I'm like, dude, Chris Hadfield spent a ton of time in space. Like, no, this is not to take credit from what Apollo did at all. But I'm like, just stop. Just give the man his credit. So, yeah. But yeah, I've seen people say stuff like, all he did was play guitar in space. And I'm like, you got what? Like he wasn't working up there, like what the heck?
Absolutely.
Okay, then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly, his book, an astronaut's guide to life on Earth, is amazing. I'm not sure if you've read that.
It's incredible.
So inspiring.
Yeah, I think everybody who goes into like a management or like a leadership sort of position needs to read that one because I think it's really good, and it just it kind of tells you what kind of person is an asset to a team and how to kind of work towards to becoming that.
Absolutely. Very inspiring. So yeah, Christmas in space, but or the holidays in space. Sorry, see, I keep doing it, Emily.
It's okay. It's okay. I was not upset.
But yeah, if you feel like if anyone listening feels like we've forgotten something, please let us know. But I'm gonna end this with a sting from Apollo 8.
And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
That's all we've got time for this week, and we hope you're enjoying the holidays. We hope that this little look at Christmas in space has helped put you in the festive mood. But thanks for spending some time with us during the holidays as well. We appreciate that.
Yes, no matter where you are, we hope you're staying safe, but also enjoying yourself. And we'd like to thank you for the support as always.
Yes, and congrats to Lauren again for winning the Tim Peake book. We hope that we'll have more things to give away to our patrons in 2021. So please make sure you go and sign up if you haven't already.
I do love a giveaway.
Me too.
So happy holidays to you all. But please remember, in space, no one can hear you meep.
Space and Things has been brought to you by And Things Productions.